So, hey everyone, today we are going to study class 10th NCERT Geography, Chapter 2. That's name is Forest and Wildlife Resources. Okay. So, firstly, we will study about forest. One second. Firstly, we will study about forest. Okay. Then we will study about, firstly, on number first, we'll study about forest. And then we will study about wildlife resources. Okay, I think it's visible. Narak, my lord, you are the creator of music in the world of lepchas. Oh, Narak, my lord, let me dedicate myself to you. Let me gather your music from the springs, the rivers, the mountains, the forests, the insects, and the animals. Let me gather your music from sweet breeze and offer it to you. So, this is telling you about the beauty of nature. We share this planet with millions of other living beings, starting from microorganisms and bacteria lichens to banyan trees, elephants and blue whales. This entire habitat that we live in has immense biodiversity. We humans, along with all living organisms, form a complex web of ecological system in which we are only a part and are very much dependent on the system for our own existence. For example, the plants, animals, and microorganisms recreate the quality of air we breathe, the water we drink, and the soil that produces our food, without which we can't survive. Forests play a key role in the ecological system as these are also the primary producers on which all other living beings depend. Biodiversity or biological diversity is immensely rich in wildlife and cultivated species, diverse in form of function but closely integrated in a system through multiple network of interdependencies. Flora and fauna in India. Flora means, from flower you can remember it like plants, and fauna means animals. If you look around, you will be able to find that there are some animals and plants which are unique in your area. In fact, India is one of the world's richest countries in terms of its vast array of biological diversity. This is possible twice or thrice the number yet to be discovered. You already studied in detail about the extent and variety of forest and wildlife resources in India. You may have realized the importance of these resources in our daily life. These diverse flora and fauna are also well integrated in our daily life that we take these for granted. But lately, they are under great stress mainly due to insensitivity to our environment. This is your activity for you. Find out stories prevalent in your region which are about the harmonious relationship between human and beings and nature. Conservation of forest and wildlife in India. Okay. Conservation in the background of rapid decline in wildlife population and forestry has been become essential. But why do we need to conserve our forest and wildlife? Conservation preserves the ecological diversity and our life support systems, water, air, and soil. It also preserves the genetic diversity of plants and animals for better growth of species and breeding. For example, in agriculture, we are still dependent on traditional crop varieties. Fisheries too are heavily dependent on the maintenance of aquatic biodiversity. In the 1960s and 1970s, conservationists demanded a national wildlife protection program. The Indian Wildlife Protection Act was implemented in 1972 with various provisions for protecting habitats. An all India list of protected species was also published. The thrust of program was towards protecting the remaining population of certain endangered species by banning hunting, giving legal protection to their habitats and restriction trade in wildlife. Subsequently, the central and many state governments established the national parks and wildlife sanctuaries about which you have already studied. The central government also announced several projects for protecting specific animals which were gravely threatened, including the tiger, one horned rhinoceros, the Kashmir stag or hangul, three types of crocodiles: freshwater crocodile, saltwater crocodile, and the gharial, the Asiatic lion, and the others. Most recently, the Indian elephant, black buck, chinkara, the great Indian bustard, Godawan, and snow leopard have been given full or partial legal protection against hunting or trade through India. Project Tiger is one of the key wildlife species in the fauna web. In 1973, the authorities realized that the tiger population had dwindled to 1,827 from an estimated 55,000 at the turn of the century. The major threats to tiger population are numerous, such as poaching for trade, shrinking habitat, depletion of prey-based species, growing human population, etc. The trade of tiger skins and the use of their bones in traditional medicines, especially in the Asian countries, left the tiger population on the verge of extinction. Since India and Nepal provide habitat to about two-thirds of the surviving tiger population in the world, these two nations became prime targets for poaching and illegal trading. Project Tiger, one of the well publicized wildlife campaigns in the world, was launched in 1973. Tiger conservation has been viewed not only as an effort to save an endangered species but with equal importance as the means of preserving biotypes of seizable magnitude. Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand, Sundarbans National Park in West Bengal, Bandhavgarh National Park in Madhya Pradesh, Sariska Wildlife Sanctuary in Rajasthan, Manas Tiger Reserve in Assam, and Periyar Tiger Reserve in Kerala are some of the tiger reserves of India. The conservation projects are now focusing on biodiversity rather than on a few of its components. There are now a more intensive search for different conservation measures. Increasingly, even insects are beginning to find a place in conservation planning. In the notification under Wildlife Act of 1980 and 1986, several hundred butterflies, moths, beetles, and one dragonfly have been added to the list of protected species. In 1991, for the first time, plants were also added to the list, starting with six species. Types and distribution of forest and wildlife resources. Even if we want to conserve vast forest and wildlife resources, it is rather difficult to manage, control, and regulate them in India. In India, much of its forest and wildlife resources are either owned or managed by government through the forest department or other government departments. These are classified under the following categories. First, reserved forest. More than half of the total forest land had been declared reserved forest. Reserved forests are regarded as the most valuable as far as conservation of forest and wildlife resources is concerned. Second are protected forest. Almost one third of total forest area is protected forest as declared by the forest department. This forest land are protected from any further depletion. Third, unclassed forest. These are other forest and wasteland belonging to the both government and private individuals and communities. Reserved and protected forests are also referred to as permanent forest estates maintained for the purpose of producing timber and other forest produce and for protecting protective reasons. Madhya Pradesh has the largest area under the permanent forest, constituting 75% of its total forest area. Jammu and Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and Maharashtra have large percentage of reserved forest of its total areas, whereas Punjab, Bihar, Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan have a bulk of it under protected forest. All north eastern states and part of Gujarat have a very high percentage of their forest as unclassed forest managed by local communities. Community and conservation. Conservation strategies are not new in our country. We often ignore that in India, forests are also home to some of the traditional communities. In some areas of India, local communities are struggling to conserve these habitats along with the government officials. Recognizing that only this will secure their own long term livelihood. In Sariska Tiger Reserve, Rajasthan, villagers have fought against mining by citing uh, the Wildlife Protection Act. In many areas, villagers themselves are protecting habitats and explicitly rejecting government involvement. The inhabitants Of the five villages in the Alwar district of Rajasthan have declared 1,200 hectares of forest as the Bhairo Dev Dakav sanctuary, declaring their own set of rules and regulations which do not allow hunting and are protecting the wildlife against any outside encroachments. The famous Chipko movement in the Himalayas has not only successfully resisted deforestation in several areas but has also shown that community afforestation with indigenous species can be enormously successful. Attempts to revive the traditional conservation methods for or developing new methods of ecological farming are now widespread. Farmers and citizens group like the Beej Bachao Andolan in Tehri and Navdanya have shown the adequate levels of diversified crop production without the use of synthetic chemicals are possible and economically viable. India Joint Forest Management JFM program furnishes a good example for involving a local communities in the management and restoration of degraded degraded sacred groves, a wealth of diverse and degraded forests. The program has been in formal existence in 1988 when the state of Odisha passed first resolution for joint forest management. JFM depends on the formation of local village institutions that undertake protection activities mostly on degraded forests, land managed by the forest department. In return, the members of these communities are entitled to intermediary benefits like non-timber forest produce and share in the timber harvested by successful protection. The clear lesson from the dynamics of both environmental destruction and reconstruction in India is that local communities everywhere have to be involved in some kind of natural resource management. But there is still a long way to go before local communities are at the center stage in the decision making, except only those economic or developmental activities that are people centric, environment friendly, and economically rewarding. Here, it's a like short note. Sacred groves are wealth of diverse and rare species. Nature worship is an age old tribal belief based on the premise that all creations of nature have to be protected. Such beliefs have preserved several virgin forests in pristine form called sacred groves, the forest of god and goddesses. These patches of forest or parts of large forest have been left untouched by the local people and any interference with them is banned. Certain societies revere a particular tree which they have preserved for time immemorial. The Mundas and the Santhalo Chotanagpur region worship Mahuwa, Basia latifolia, and Kadamba, Anthocaphelus kadamba trees. And the tribals of Odisha and Bihar worship the tamarind, Tamarindus indica, and the mango, Mangifera indica, trees during weddings. And these bold names are their biological names, yes. Too many of us people and banyan trees are considered sacred. Indian society comprises several cultures, each with its own set of traditional methods of conserving nature and its creation. Sacred qualities are often ascribed to springs, mountain peaks, plants, and animals which are closely protected. You will find troops of macaques and langurs around many temples. They are fed daily and treated as a part of temple devotees. In and ground Vishnoi villages in Rajasthan, herd of black buck, chinkar, and nilgai and peacocks can be seen as an integral part of the community and nobody harms them. The tree is a peculiar organism of unlimited kindness and benevolence and makes no demand for its sustenance and extends generously the products of its life activity. It affords protection to all beings, offering shade even to the examen who destroy it. Gautam Buddha in 487 BC wrote this quote. This quote. Okay. So here our chapter is finished. Thanks for watching.